Hi my lovies and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a video basically on my favourite neutral palettes. Palettes that I think that all you guys need to try at least one of these in your life. If you're looking for neutral looks, these are my go-to palettes. These are the ones I recommend. They are so amazing and I can't stress how much I adore these palettes. So I'm going to start off with probably the palette you guys were all expecting me to start off with, which is the Jaclyn Hill palette. I think this has been one of the most amazing palettes I ever discovered in the last 12 months. I use it every day, without a doubt. I didn't use it today. I used only the Huda Beauty Desert Dust palette. I feel like my eyes are very extreme today. But in general, this palette will be a go-to of mine every day because there's something I need in it every day, because the transition shades are perfect for me. It has this gorgeous orange shade that I'm obsessed with. Then it has a pop of color here. It has deep shade. Purpley brown shade is one of my all-time favorite shades. I love the gold in this as well. I wore this the other day. It's just absolutely stunning. Like, look at that. I'm obsessed with this shade here called Pool Party. Absolutely amazing blue. I just love it. It's just everything I've ever wanted in a neutral palette. And then it also has your pops of colors. But if you only wanted to create a neutral look, you have enough shades to do it. The only disappointment about this palette, and I spoke about this a ton of times before, so I'm not going to rant on about it too much, is these two shades up here at the top. One is like a satin finish, one's like more of a glittery finish, but realistically they're kind of the same color, and they don't need, like, you don't need both of these in a palette. A matte would have been so much nicer, like a matte cream shade. I get that one has like a gold undertone and one has like more of a white base, but I do think that if they just added a matte cream shade into this palette, it would be completely and utterly perfect. Other than that, I think it has everything that I need and I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much and I can't rate it high enough and recommend it to all of you guys. The next palette, obviously, that I'm going to talk about, if you've been on my channel here for a while, you will be expecting this. It is the Modern Renaissance from ABH. Who is texting me? My phone is going crazy over there. Sorry for the rude interruption. So Modern Renaissance, this is pretty obvious. ABH's formula is amazing and they really did one of the most amazing jobs with this palette ever. I haven't seen a palette that just screams to me as much as this palette in a long time. It just has everything I need. It has that matte cream shade up here, obviously, like I've hit pan on that for setting my base. It has a transition shade. I love this one here, burnt orange. And then raw sienna is also gorgeous too. And then it has something to deepen up a look. If you don't want to use black, this dark brown here, Cyprus Ombre, is just amazing. Realgar has the orange in it. It has neutral colors. It also has like the, you know, the gold, like Primavera and Vermeer and stuff like that. It has everything that I need in a palette. And I just can't stress how obsessed I am with this. The formula is so amazing. It's really creamy. It blends quite well together. So if you're layering shadows or you're putting like a couple of different shadows into or onto your eye rather, this palette works amazingly well. There's no choppiness with it. There's no skipping on the eyes, nothing like that. It just blends seamlessly and it's one of my highest recommendations for eyeshadow palettes. It's about €45 here in Ireland. I buy mine off, well, I bought this off Beauty Bay at the time. I think it was Beauty Bay or Beauty Lish, I can't remember, one of them, but like to me they're ultimately like pretty much the same. And I have it over a year and a half and I just still dip. Actually, I think I have this close upon 2 years, so you probably should be throwing it out by now, but I still use it constantly. Can't stress how much I love this. And I think if you are in the market for a neutral palette with something kind of different in it, because it has like those warm shades and there's like pinks in it and stuff, you won't be disappointed by this. The only thing that actually disappoints me about this palette is the packaging, because I have it filthy, but in general it's not really a big deal. It is an amazing palette and you won't regret purchasing it. The next palette I want to talk about is actually new to my collection, and this is from Tart. This is the Man Eater palette. Now I bought this I think maybe April. No, it was before April because I wasn't here in April. It was in February perhaps. And this is what the palette looks like. So it's just a 9-pan palette. It's really basic, really simple, but it has everything that I need in it, to be honest. It has everything. Cream shade to set the lid. You have a couple different shades of brown, something that works on most skin tones. I mean, everybody can pull off at least one of these browns. And then it has a black, and this is the most mattest black ever. Hang on, I need to make room for this. So this shade is called Catcall. Can you actually deal with how black that is? Look at that. It is the most blackest intense black eyeshadow that I think I have. So this is a fantastic palette just to create a neutral look. I love the shade up here, Foxy, as well. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. You can create anything that you want with this palette if it's obviously on the neutral spectrum. And I just think it is a gorgeous palette. It's really affordable as well. I think I got this for like maybe 20 something euro, 24 euro, 25 euro. So if you just want something cheap and cheerful with really good quality shadows, Tart. This is actually my first experience using any Tart shadows, and I feel like the blendability, the creaminess of these shadows is like right on point. It is amazing. They made a great palette. Formulation of Tarte's eyeshadows is great, especially for this palette. I haven't tried any of their other ones, so do let me know if the formula is good as it is in their other palettes, because I definitely like to try more from Tarte with eyeshadows. But in regards to this palette, I was obsessed. Formulation amazing, and just has everything in it that I need for a neutral look. Perfect traveling palette as well. Okay, my second last palette I want to talk about is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I have been obsessed with this since it came out, obviously. I got this sent to me from Too Faced, and I think it was one of the best PR packaging I remember ever receiving from any company ever. It was so amazing, and the smell of peach when I opened this was just divine. This is what it looks like on the inside. I'll turn it that way so you can see it properly. It looks like this on the inside. So it has an array of neutral shades in here, but the quality of Too Faced shadows is just amazing. But this palette in particular is better than any of their other ones. I did like the chocolate bar when it initially came out, but I feel like the Sweet Peach palette definitely overtook that. The reason being is from this purple shade here, which is called Delectable. I love purple. We all know how much I love purple, but I also love the Candid Peach. Like, it just has shades in it that are unusual and different to any other palette I own. It has like a green in it as well, but again, it's quite a neutral wearable green. It's not quite as, you know, crazy as the one in the Jaclyn Hills. And then Summer Yum has to be my favorite warm brown ever. Like, the shades are just incredible, and the pigmentation is out of this world. They blend amazingly well, and that's like a major thing for me when I'm looking for eyeshadows, is how well do they blend, how pigmented are they easy to build up, and do they work well together? You know, when you're using a couple of different shadows, do they blend seamlessly into each other? Do they look kind of nice on the eyelids? There's no kind of like skipping and jumping all over the place, and it looks like, you know, you're wearing a couple of different eyeshadows. No, I want something that looks seamless and looks kind of effortless on the eye. Is that making sense to you guys? But anyway, that's what this palette does for me. It has a matte cream shade as well to set the eyelid. Peaches and Cream is the one that I use at the moment because I'm a little bit deeper to set my eyelid. I have used all of the shades in this palette. I love all of them, and there's nothing I can say more about this palette, but it's definitely a high recommendation for me. And again, if you were looking for something to bring traveling with you, this is brilliant because it has everything you need in it, and you also have a couple of different shimmers in it, and it's small and compact as well, and it doesn't take up that much room. One of these 5 palettes comes with me no matter where I go, and I will always kind of look and see which palette I want to bring with me and which one I'm feeling at the time. But palette is perfect and just amazing, and you guys will not be disappointed if you pick it up. The last palette I want to talk about is the Warm Neutrals from Sigma. This is the Warm Neutrals 2, sorry, volume 2. This palette, oh my god, guys. I went through like 2 months of wearing nothing but this palette. I think it was late last year or early this year, I can't quite remember, but I know there was like 2 solid months where nothing else was worn but this palette. Look at this, it's just amazing. It has everything you need, and you see my little purple color down here, my warm red shade here, and then beautiful transition shades. Even though it doesn't have like what the Man-Eater had, like a light, medium and dark brown, it has something for most skin tones, because I think this dark brown could be used, you know, as a transition. So in my opinion, this and the Man-Eater palette are the most convenient for travel and for creating kind of like, you know, a look that you like, a staple look that you would dip into. The reason why I'm mentioning this one as well is because I feel like this can be amped up. Like, you could create a completely different look with this every time you use it. So even though it's neutral, you could still like pop red in the crease and like green all over the lid, and it's like not even a neutral look anymore. Does that make sense? When you use this palette, you're not just stuck and put in a box with using only neutral colors. You can branch out and use a couple of different shades, and it just creates like a completely different different look altogether. So for me, this is one of the best neutral palettes around because of its versatility. I'm not sure if they reformulated their Shadow Sigma, but I don't remember them being this creamy and blendable before. This palette seems to be a little bit more of a superior formulation, a little bit nicer and a bit more buttery and creamier and easier to blend. Okie doke guys, that completes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and got to see some of my favorite neutral palettes. I know that neutral palettes are kind of like daunting because you're like, there's so many choices, you know. I just want a basic neutral palette that blends well. So they're 5 of my favorites and you can't really go wrong with any of them. And I just think that the quality of the shadows is amazing and each one of them is just as good as the last. So if you pick one of those 5, if you're just looking for a basic neutral palette, you won't be disappointed. So I hope this video was enjoyable and you learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye!